Sorry guys for the late start. So obviously overcoming perfectionism and procrastination, and I'm going to do some productivity tips as well at the end to get you sorted for the week, because I feel like people need to know the true productivity tips. So I'm just going to go through, this line is so annoying, I'm just going to leave it there though, I'm really sorry. I'm just going to go through reasons why you potentially could be a perfectionist. It is obviously everything that you are as a person can root in childhood, and has a lot to do with things that you've been through or things that other people have said to you that can kind of imprint on you and change the way you think, whatever. So, perfection is obviously in childhood if you've had high expectations imposed on you. So, for example, school or like your work or anything like that, or your performance in anything, any hobbies, any clubs. Oh, someone else has joined. Oh, God. Um, yeah, any hobbies, any clubs, whatever. If you've had conditional praises placed on your performance rather than your effort, so you get praised on how well you did and not how much you tried. So, for example, if you didn't do so well, you wouldn't really get praised on like, okay, but it doesn't matter because you tried your best. It's okay. Well, let's try this next time and we'll do better. Do you know what I mean? Fear of judgment or disapproval from others. So if you fear that you, and this is subconscious, you don't often realize that you have this fear, but you fear being judged by someone else if you don't do your best, if you do anything less than your idea of perfect, and this again is due to being judged in childhood. If your worth is attached to your performance, so you don't think you're worthwhile unless something is perfect. So for example, like it's often people have this with the gym when they start the gym and stuff. They become perfectionists in things, and like they get frustrated with themselves if they don't do something right. And they're attaching their worth essentially to their performance or to their body, and it's not perfect, and you then don't think you're worthwhile. And this all leads to procrastination as well, because you don't, if it's not perfect, you don't want to do it. Comparison of work to others is another reason, as another cause of perfectionism. Again, so it leads to procrastination because you fear not doing a task perfectly, so you're going to put this task off, and it's to do with not feeling worthy, and you don't get it done 100%. So you're not going to do it because reaching a level of perfect is actually merely impossible, and you don't hit it every single time. Like, you're going to be so less satisfied with your performance and your work, because if you're striving for 100%, the chances that you meet 100% are so small that you never feel satisfied. Whereas if you actually reach good enough, which is 80%, still really good, but it's good enough, it's not perfect, you're going to be more satisfied. So that's just a bit of background. I actually think I have brain fog this morning, I'm not gonna lie, I can't even think. But so that's a little background. If you can kind of recognize, maybe if your parents are judgmental, you were made to compare yourself at school or whatever, you can kind of, it's good to be aware of like why you might be a perfectionist, because you can actually just be like, when you notice you're procrastinating, you can be like, boom, this is my inner child procrastinating because she fears being judged, or feels like she's not worthy enough, or she's not going to get it perfect, so she fears being judged from others. And you can kind of stop yourself when you are aware of the cause. So operationalizing what's good enough versus what's perfect. So I want you to pick an area in your life where you are a perfectionist. So for me, I'm probably, well, I have got a lot better, but my perfectionist areas would be my studies and probably my productivity, like my work, anything to do with my work. I'm not a perfectionist in like cleaning my room or like and things have to be really neat. Like I'm so messy. That's not why I'm a perfectionist. But so pick an area in your life. It could be the gym. It could be like you get annoyed at yourself if you don't work out 5 times a week, and you don't eat this, and you're really harsh on yourself, and you're like, oh gosh, I haven't eaten what I said I'll eat today. And it's very perfect vision of in your head of what you want to achieve that day. So pick an area in your life where you might be a perfectionist, and I want you to write down what perfect looks like to you and what would make you satisfied. So for example, the perfectionist in productivity would be perfect would be finishing your whole to-do list, not sitting around ever doing nothing. You're always doing something. And yeah, so that would be perfectionist in the gym would be, okay, I'm going to hit 5 times a week, I'm going to work out an hour, I'm going to burn X amount of calories, I'm going to eat this, this, and this every single day. I'm not going to eat this. It's very rigid. Oh God, I'm not going to say the word. I can't say words. So, and then I want you to write down underneath what 80% of this would look like. So my therapist always said, you write down perfect and then you write down 80%. So what is good enough, right? 80% is also really freaking good, right? You're still aiming high, you're still above average, you're still aiming like for really good. But you are, when you hit that, you're going to be satisfied, and you're going to hit that so many more times. You're going to have more hits of satisfaction. Whereas if you strive for the perfectionist one, you don't hit it all the time. You might hit every so often, and you're always going to be putting yourself down and be like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. And then again, it comes back to tying it in with your worth. So I want you to write down what your 80% would look like. So in the gym, for example, your good enough might be like, Joe, I'll strive for 5 workouts, but good enough is doing 3, or I'll strive for eating this and this, but like good enough would actually be, having balance every single day, having this or whatever, or like, you know what I mean? So you need it to be clear of what's good enough, so the next time you come and you have these perfectionist behaviors, you can actually be like, what's actually good enough. And you've got to be fair to yourself as well. Like, you've got to think that everything we do in terms of judging ourselves, you've got to always relate it back to, and I always say this, is what would you say to your friend? So you wouldn't say to your friend, you got to do this, this, and this, like to a incredibly high standard, and then also judge her if she doesn't do it. Like, that's actually really harsh if you think about how harsh that actually is. So yeah, I hope you can concentrate about me talking too much. So for example, the 80% would be prioritizing your to-do list, accepting you can't do everything in a day, and that's why I prioritize my to-do list. That's why I made my plan the way it is. I never write long, overwhelming to-do lists because I can't do everything in a day. I'm going to prioritize what's important and what's not so important, but I'll still try and get it done. If I don't get it done, fine, it gets moved over to the next day. Scheduling rest would be good enough. Good enough would be happy with my efforts despite not getting what I wanted to get done. And good enough would be making a realistic schedule for the day, because a perfectionist schedule would be very strict and very like dun 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 dun. So that is that. Obviously, just I'll give you like another minute or something to write down, but it's so good to just have it clear in your head what 80% is, because everything's consistency as well. Like, if you strive for 80%, you hit it. Think in a year, this could be, your perfectionist could be something that's not like measured by, growth or success or whatever. But in a year, if you hit 80% all the time, or like majority of the time, like think where you'll be in a year. But if you strive for perfectionism 100 and you don't hit it, you're going to procrastinate, and then you're going to put it off, and then you're going to try and strive for it again, and then you're going to put it off because it's too hard and it's too overwhelming, and it's, you don't think you're good enough, and because you haven't hit it, so next time you're not going to do it, you're going to procrastinate. In a year, you're going to be so far behind. So actually striving for perfection actually takes you back 2 steps, if that makes sense, because you don't want to do it because it's too hard and and whatnot. So yeah, having a really clear image is key, and being kind to yourself, right? And consistency. There's so many things. Okay, I'm gonna move on anyway. Right, so this is another thing, and I've realized this, right? When you punish yourself, you then create a negative association with this thing that you're trying to achieve. So for example, work. I can't believe I didn't get 82%. I've done awful. It's not what I wanted. I'm so annoyed at myself for not getting that done. You've now created this really negative association with work, right? It's not. You're not going to want to do it because you associate it with being punished. So I want you to think of some judgmental thoughts when things don't go your way. Oh my God, I didn't make the gym. I'm so annoyed at myself. I feel so bad. You're then creating this thing into a chore, right? It's becoming something that's not enjoyable, and it's a chore. So yeah, I want you to write down judgmental thoughts. Sorry, I just should not have got my phone. It's really hard to think of judgmental thoughts in a moment. And I always find this because your thoughts fly around all the time, right? They always constantly fly around. They come and go like that. Like some of them you don't even take note of. Like think of last week when you were sitting in bed, right, and you might have felt down. I bet you can't remember some of the thoughts you were having because they just come and go. But that is also the beauty in emotion. And as again, I'm really waffling, but I'm just going to say it anyway, is that things pass all the time. And that's like when you feel sad and stuff, like you can just accept that you feel sad because it's going to pass, because these thoughts will pass. So it is hard to think of thoughts because they do pass, but try and think of some judgmental thoughts, write down a few, when you do it, like I've done awful, this is not good enough, and then I want you to write down what an optimist would say. So they're your perfectionist thoughts. They're very judgmental. They're very all or nothing. They're very harsh and rigid. I want you to think of this higher version of you, an optimist, secure, what would they say? So for example, the fear of failure one. So obviously my perfectionist roots in this, the fear of failure, that's where I'm a perfectionist. And that's what happens as a result, is that I fear failure. But an optimist side would be like, okay, it's just one exam. Didn't do my best, but I tried my hardest. I was going through this and this, like I was trying to balance uni, gym, whatever at the same time. I was doing so much, and I tried my best, and that's enough. And one exam isn't going to change my whole life. Perfectionist. I'm overweight, getting so depressed by the day, getting so more not depressed, sorry, I'm getting more overweight by the day, I haven't worked out, and then an optimist would be like, right, do you know what, you've got so many things going on in your life at the moment, it's absolutely fine to your weight fluctuates, you can't do everything to a high degree of standard all the time. You might not have made the gym because you've had other priorities, or simply because you just needed to rest, and So think what an optimist would say. And this can be created, you can create now a list of things you'd say to yourself next time you find yourself in your perfectionist head, in whatever area you wrote your perfectionist thing down in. So yeah, it's always thinking, and the best mindset that I get into, and when I feel my best, is thinking about my highest self, thinking about the future person that I want to become. So for example, it's the same with discipline and motivation. Like you might feel unmotivated at that point, but your higher self and your future self doesn't listen to this doesn't rely on this motivation. The discipline comes when you think about who you want to become, and that's why you stay disciplined. Whatever. I'm rambling on. I have so many tips, it's a joke. Yeah, so just write down a few opposing thoughts. So you got your negative thought, what would an optimist say to that? How can you make it a bit kinder, yeah, just give another minute, because time is cracking on. But yeah. Right, I'm going to move on. Hope I've given you enough time. That's just another example. You did your best, things didn't work out how you wanted to, but good things still happened, and you learn important lessons that will help you to do better in the future, and you're still here another day to try again. Right, I'm just going to go through some tips for overcoming procrastination, and then I'm going to go through my best productivity tips and how I stay really productive. So catastrophizing, right, everyone does this. Oh my god, this is so boring, it's going to take me ages, it's so hard, it's long, I can't be bothered because it's so long and it's such a big task, and you make a huge deal out of this task. You need to get rid of catastrophizing. You can accept, yes, it's going to be difficult, it's going to take some time, it's not my favourite thing to do, but I can get through it. My future self will thank me for this. You know, not everything in life is going to be fun tasks. You've got to do things you don't want to do. If you want to write these down and you want to write a sentence down, then you can. So, for example, when I have a boring task, I'm like, do you know what? Accept this is bloody boring. This is so boring. I don't want to do it. But I'm just going to accept that it's boring. You know, acceptance is everything. Like, if you just accept instead of fight against things and you simply accept it, you're like, do you know what? Yeah, it's boring. Like, you are much more likely to move forward in life easier, accepting things for the way they are. Focusing on your why. So the task in hand is just the task. The reason why you're doing that task is so much more important than the task itself. How is it getting you close to the person you want to be? Even if that is, I've got to tidy my room, I don't want to do it, it's boring, but that is getting you closer to you are okay. So the reason why I want to do it is because I want to be in a nice tidy space and I want to feel good, I want to feel refreshed, I want to feel relaxed. It's going to make me feel good, it's therapeutic. It's going to help me work better because I'm going to be in a cleaner environment, my head's going to be clear. Be realistic. What would a realistic day include? When you've included rest, you've included your eating, you've included showering, you've included putting yourself first, and other responsibilities, what would a realistic day include? If you're not realistic, you've already set yourself up for failure, because you are literally going to feel so disappointed in yourself because you're striving again for that perfectionist schedule. Making sure your expectation isn't too high, again, is when you set 100%, I'm going to do this. When I'm resting, I'm going to do this. Your expectation is too high. And if you just lower your expectation just a little bit, you're going to feel more positive. You're going to want to do it more because you're like, actually, you know what? I can do this because it's achievable. It's still challenging, but it's achievable. But 100%, you're like, nah, like, no, I don't want to do this. Break it down into smaller parts. So you got a big task, right? Okay, so in my planner, I'm not going to write down 11 till 1 assignment. I'm going to write down, okay, read 3 papers. You know, it is going towards the big task. But when I see assignment in my planner, I'm like, ew, no, goodbye. Because I'm not going to do the whole assignment in 3 hours. So why am I writing it down? I'm writing down the small tasks that are going to get to there. Realising when you're making an excuse versus when you cannot actually do something. This is so important. You know, I actually hate excuses, but I also hate when people are like, oh, no excuses, because sometimes there are excuses, right? But when you're being lazy, then that's different. Like, that's like, come on now, like, you need to have some discipline. What would your future self thank you for? Who do you want to become? Like, think ahead, think of the bigger picture. Reward good behaviour and forgive yourself when you don't do anything. Again, we don't want negative associations with tasks, because then you don't want to do it again in the future. You create it as a chore. Reward yourself, reward your efforts as well is key. Right, productivity tips. I haven't actually got my planner on me, which is really good, isn't it? I don't want to get it because do I get it? I don't know. I'm just going to tell you, right, everything in my planner, and this is not a sales tip because I don't care if you don't buy it. I mean, I would love you to buy it, but everyone has different preferences for different planners, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm going to tell you why my planner works. So you can plan your week after this, or plan your day, but I'm going to do how you plan your week, and then I'm going to zoom in to a day and how you plan your day for, like, really, like, I get so much feedback about how productive people are when they use my planner. So basically, I want you to write down, you don't have to do this now, I'm just going to tell you, I can send the PowerPoint out, you can check my planner out, whatever. Basically, I want you to write down everything you've got to do this week, where you think you might be doing it, what days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Write down, okay, I've got to go gym, I'm going to go gym, okay, roughly Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. I've got lectures, I've got to do this, I've got to meet a friend on Saturday. I want you to write down your whole schedule rough, not in times, just on what days you think you might get them done. And then you go to the Monday of that dump, so it's called task dump. You go to the Monday of the dump and you zoom in on that. So you take them tasks and then you're going to time block those tasks into a schedule. in between each block. So for example, block 1 might be lecture. So I'm giving myself a set time to complete the task. So say like 2 hours. I know lecture is an hour, but I know I always go over. So I'm going to allow myself 2 hours to get it done. And then after that block, I'm going to put in rest. And then I'm going to do my next block, which might be work for my assignment. So I might be, okay, read 3 papers in this schedule. Doing this, you know exactly what times you're doing things. You've put enough time in the time block to get this task done, maybe a little bit extra to allow for any disruptions, any like breaks, whatever. And then I might have another break, and then I'll put like gym time block, including like when I've got to get ready for the gym and like I've got to eat, I've got to shower after, whatever. And you time like this. And then your to-do list, do not write long, overwhelming to-do lists, please, because who likes doing that? Not me. Prioritize your to-do list, so into high priority, medium, and low. High priority, the absolute essential things to get done. Non-negotiables, you're getting them done today. You cannot move on to medium priority until high priority things are completed. Anything unfinished gets moved over to high priority the next day. Hardest tasks first. Also, tasks, I always find this is a great tip, is tasks that you have to get done, I do them last sometimes. So like, okay, I've got a tutorial tomorrow, let's say, I've got to do reading for that. That'll be my last task of the day because I have to do it. I've got to do it. There's no other option but to do it. So it means that I'll do everything else first and get it done, and then I'll get that done as well because I've got to do it. If I put that first and then I'd probably do it, and then I wouldn't want to do the other tasks because they're not that important. Do you know what I mean? So tasks, this is just where possible. Sometimes you have to just do it because it's a long task, and you might, if you do it, if you save it to last and you don't get it done, then you screwed, aren't you? But that's some tips of mine, is stick to your time blocks, and in the morning look at your plan, like, right, we're doing this, you know exactly what you're doing, you stick to your blocks. You feel so good at the end because you've had so much rest as well. You've blocked in rest in between each task, just 30 minutes, whatever, however much rest you want. And then you go off and you tick it off at the end, you reward yourself, and you're like, yeah, do you know what, I did that. And if you don't get it done, it just gets moved over to high priority the next day, and that's absolutely fine. But that is all. I feel like I've spoke so much today. I feel like next week I'm going to do more of a journal prompt one. Something like, I don't know, self-love, or, some self-worth or self-belief or something. I don't know, something like that. Maybe a combination. I can't remember what next week is. I think I actually need to reschedule all the next weeks now because we've come to the end of this block of scheduled Zoom calls. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you go plan your week, plan your day tomorrow as well, like I just said. And when your perfectionist brain is telling you, remember 80%, and remember why you're doing it. It's because your inner child is screaming that she's not good enough. Okay? If you want me to send you the PowerPoints, please let me know, and I can do that now. I'm really not good at sending PowerPoints because I keep forgetting. So I'm going to stay on the computer for a bit. If anyone, just message me if you want me to send you PowerPoints. This video is going to go up on YouTube as well, because for people who didn't miss it. So yeah, I'll hopefully see you all next week. I hope you have a great day, productive. No, not even productive. You might have a Sunday reset, but a productive week. Make sure you plan and get ready for the week. Discipline, think of your future self. You got this, okay? I'm going to go now anyway, so just let me know if you want the PowerPoints, and I'll hopefully see you next week. I'm going to end it.